Hi guys, Ace here again. Finally doing another one of these art tutorial videos. It's gonna be another space one, like the last one. Except this time, we're gonna do Saturn. Why Saturn, you may ask? Well, that's because there are gonna be details to this that were not in the Jupiter tutorial. Mainly the rings. But we'll get to that in a moment. As before, blank file. With, let's do... well, this is gonna end up probably being bigger than these dimensions, as you'll see when we actually get to it. But this is just to start with. Get right into it. Saturn is a slightly lighter color than Jupiter. In fact, in terms of appearance, just like without the rings, it would actually look a lot like Venus. Just a lot bigger, obviously. Hardness down like last time, but down to 90%. It's annoying. Come on. There we go. Oh, that's right. Well, you know what? That I can still work with this. So I'll just darken. Yeah, I know I'm doing it out of order this time, but doesn't really matter because layer, new layer. Now move this new layer below the one that I just put the beige blob in. And as before, black background. Now, as you can see, we have something that's going to resemble a planet. This time, however, I'm going to do something I could have done with Jupiter, but didn't, because this effect is much more pronounced on Saturn than on Jupiter. The slightly oblong shape at the equator, due to the fact that both Jupiter and Saturn spin so fast on their axes that they kind of flatten out a bit around the equator like that, you know, like spinning a pizza crust in the air, you know, like the dough, how it flattens out. Well, that same effect can happen with planets, especially gaseous planets that have relatively low densities. They're spinning really fast, like both Jupiter and Saturn is much less dense than Jupiter, so even though it doesn't spin quite as fast as Jupiter, the effect is much more pronounced due to the lower gravity. For example, Jupiter, at the cloud tops, its gravity is 2.5 times that of Earth's, whereas at the cloud tops of Saturn, it's about 80% that of Earth's. So, much less dense. With that little science nerdism out of the way, as before, magic wand tool, contract and feather. Let's do a lot of feather here. More contract, more feather, a little more contract, a little more feather, just until we get it right to that edge. There. That ought to do it. Now, again, Saturn doesn't have nearly as defined cloud bands as Jupiter, but it does have some lighter and darker bands, so I'm gonna do, actually, yeah, you're gonna, there we go. like that. Another one around here, curving up at an angle because I like Earth and Mars, and in fact, most of the planets, like the only three actually, planets that don't have a significant axial tilt are Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter. All the others have a significant tilt. Uranus obviously having the most. Let's make the poles a bit darker. There we go. And there we go. And already we're starting to see something that resembles Saturn, just obviously without the rings. Before we get to the shadows, however, we do need to do the rings first. So deselect that. Now I'm going to make a new layer. And in fact, right, what I'm going to do, bear with me here, this is going to seem a bit weird at first, but that, and make these slightly transparent so that I can see where Saturn is. Move that up a bit. There we go. Still there. And another smaller one, like Russian dolls just inside each other. Or like a target kind of shape. Yeah, Target, the store that tried to make it in Canada, but lasted all of a year before packing up and leaving again. That was somewhat entertaining to watch that happen. I gotta admit, as a Canadian. Now these are all coming out for some reason. That's why. That, however, can be easily fixed. First, though, we need to simplify each of these layers because they're a shape tool, meaning in order to actually do anything with them, we need to simplify them like this so that image resize. You need this whole thing here, and just because, as I said at the beginning, the background's gonna get a lot bigger. There we go. Now again, yeah, this looks kind of weird, but bear with me. Do that like that. And here we go. Make each layer slightly different shade of beige or gray. I'll just do that. Actually, a little bit less. There we go. Whoops, nope. That happens sometimes. It forgets which layer you're on when you do undo. Now, I'm going to do oh, right. Other way. There we go. Make it fuzzy. Do the same for each one. Each circle must become fuzzy. Down to this layer, fuzzy that up. And finally, this one, fuzzy that up. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Having a bit of a problem here with that. Yeah, that tends to happen. So what I'm actually gonna I do need to actually let's zoom out a bit here. Zoom out a bit more. Since it's right up to the edge like that, yeah. This will fix that. Just there we go. Now let's, as before, fuzzy that up. There we go. Deselect that. And since this program sometimes crashes on me and closes itself, I'm gonna save right now. Just Saturn tutorial. It's always a good habit to get into save regularly when working on projects like this, whether it's a Word document or Photoshop, anything really, because, you know, if you have a power outage, your computer glitches, the program closes on you, if you don't save regularly, you lose all that work. Let's go back to full screen. Now, here's where the second part of this comes in. Make the eraser just a bit smaller than the does the eraser tool not have a fuzzy option? You know what? It doesn't need to. Because this has fuzzy option. There we go. Deselect that. As before, same thing, just a little bit bigger brush eraser tool. Let's make it a bit bigger than that. Here we go. There we go, and fuzzy up the inside of that. Turn these circles into fuzzy rings. Same again. Rinse, repeat. It's a little too big, so I'm going to shrink that just a little bit. It just need to be a little bigger than that. There. should do it. Fuzzy it up. There we go. 2 more. Slightly increase the brush size again. May have to manually type in a number because that's what I'm going to do. There we go. And erase. Let's fuzzy it up again. 1 more. Deselect that. Actually, what I'm going to do, make it even bigger. Just full size that. There we go. And this time, no, that's too much fuzzy. There we go. Now we have something that looks like Saturn's rings, only it looks like it's looking at it from above, which is why I'm going to merge all these ring layers. I'm actually going to duplicate layer, put one of them below Saturn, keep one above it, select both layers with Control right click, and as you're about to see, tilt it just the same way as Saturn. And let's flatten that right out like a disc. Looking at a CD from the side. Now, as you can see, the ring is still, the back side of the ring is still visible in front of Saturn. We don't want that. But I'm about to rectify that in a moment. Just angle this a bit more so it matches with the axial tilt of Saturn. There we go. But now you're going to see, I'm just going to save again first. Just because, as you're about to see, why I doubled up the layers here. Erase this side. Just the part where Saturn is. Just right there. Just where it covers up Saturn. Just erase that. Just on the layer above Saturn. And now, as you can already see, it already looks like Saturn. Again, save. Now, as before, let's cancel. Actually, this may be more difficult than but I will whoop, wrong layer, deselect that. Here we go. It's way too much. Now let's just select inverse. That's another useful tool in this program. As we did with Jupiter, the dark side. Dun, 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 dun. Actually, that's a little bit too feathered. It's the feathering is stretching out way too much. Let's defeather that a little bit. Good enough. And I'm gonna have to fiddle with this for a bit. Hold on. Let's try this now. Make this even darker. I'm still. You know what? That selection was a bit lumpy, so what I shall do instead it's gonna be complicated. Yeah, just bear with me here. Will be a little more difficult than I was expecting, but that's okay. You live and learn. I'm not an absolute expert on everything. I still need to learn things just like everyone else. Let's see if I can smooth it out just a teensy. That's the wrong. Right, I need this. Just want to smooth that. No. Yeah. Let's try this. Don't know if this will work. Let's see. No, right. I'm really screwing up today. Okay, that's a bit better. There's still some fuzziness on that side though, which means I need to fix that. Add a little bit. That's egg. You know what, let's go back to this select tool, because this is proving very difficult. So what I'm gonna do let's try this one more time. Use the ellipse to ellipse select. One more attempt. Get rid of that. One more attempt. Almost got it. Just try that. And I think we have it. Now, just need to fuzzy that up a bit. Let's that's, there we go. Now, in theory, this should work now. Yeah, actually, that's much better. That's a big improvement. Why did it take me so long to do that? Epic fail tutorial. Anyway, as before, a little bit of shading on the front side, a lot more larger airbrush shading on the back side. One more of those ought to do it. There we go. And in addition, one more thing that needs to be shaded. This. I think I can do a little better than that. Let's try that. There we go. Now let's go up there and do this. Actually, let's do this one. And now this one, just give it some dimension. There we go. Now the shadow of the rings are on it. Save again. Now the planet looks right. The rings need to be shaded, and this is where things get interesting, because now we have to actually use the select tool on the rings themselves. Select inverse. This is annoying, so I'm going to make that go away. This time, instead of making it an ellipse-shaped shadow, it's just going to be the shadow of Saturn itself on the rings. So, about to there. Just curve that out a little bit more. And just to give some dimension to this, a little bit of shading to the inside ring. A little bit of shading to the outside edge. All around. Let's lighten that up a bit so we can now add a bit more to this inner edge here. A little bit more to that. Now, this part is gonna need some work as well. The under part, just because of the part that's showing. So here we go. Darken that. A little bit of let's do that. And that. And there we go. Just gonna add a teensy bit more to the outer edge here. And one more time with this. I want to fuzzy that up a little bit more again. Not quite that much, that'll do. here. There we go. Fuzzy that up. And now we have Saturn and its rings. One more save. Next, like we did with Jupiter, we're going to add one of its moons. So I'm going to make a new layer. This time, let's go with something orange. I think you can already guess what I'm going for here. Need that opacity at max. And since, unlike Io, this moon does have a very thick atmosphere, to the point where it almost kind of looks like a tiny gas giant, even though it does have a solid surface underneath. Actually, I'm going to, first thing, that's a little bit too deep of an orange for starters. Also, let's reduce that hardness even more, because this is a really fuzzy moon. There we go. That's more like it. Fuzzy and almost featureless, at least viewed from space. The surface is most definitely not featureless, but we needed the Huygens probe to really see that up close. It's the only other body in the solar system aside from Earth that has liquid bodies of liquid on its surface and actual rain, but it's not water. It's actually liquid hydrocarbons like methane and ethane, because it's so cold that those things freeze there. Let's add some color to this shadow. And again, on this side, color up that the shadow a little bit right there. One more this side. There we go. And just gonna soft light right there. There we go. There. Saturn, its rings, and its fuzzy little hazy moon Titan. Well, not little, it's called Titan for a reason. It's actually bigger than Mercury in terms of diameter, though its density is lower than the moon, so it actually has a gravity of only 1/7 Earth gravity, whereas the moon has 1/6. Both Mercury and Mars are tied at about 3.8. Even though Mars is technically bigger, it's also less dense, so it's like similar amount of mass, just... Again, I'm nerding it out. Since this doesn't really need to be a perfect square, I'm just going to do this. Make it a horizontal rectangle. There we go. Fit on screen, so this will be easier to see as I add the finishing touches, which is, of course, the stars. My God, it's full of stars. A few big ones here and there. Dot them randomly around background. And then a lot more little ones. Since smaller stars are obviously more common than big ones. Or, you know, further away stars are more common than ones close by, obviously. We are not living in a globular cluster. If we were, well, there would never be a night, and we would be constantly bathed in deadly radiation and under threat of other stars colliding with our sun, or just the gravitational pulls of the other stars stretching out the orbits of the planets into really long comet-like ellipses, and I just can't stop talking nerd. So this is a science video and an art video. You're welcome. Little bit of Bill Nye meets Art Attack. Make a few even tinier stars, just dot them everywhere. Everywhere. All over the place. Here we go. Tiny little stars everywhere. Teeny tiny little dots. Little sparkly pinpricks of light. Let's put some more around the rings. I put these on the wrong layer. You know, it's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. I meant to put them on this layer here. Look, see? I put them on the Saturn layer. Doesn't matter though, it's not covering anything up. But yeah, that was this tutorial of how to draw Saturn, its rings, and one of its moons. So, until the next video... Wait. Before that... I'm noticing some issues with the shading here again. That is an easy fix, however. Just, as before, just clean that up. Here we go. Or, wait. No, it wasn't an issue. It's the edge of Saturn. It's the, I am not with it today. Anyway. Yeah. Save that again. I have been Ace. Keep one up your sleeve. Until the next video, bye.